be able to see my screen. Got the Mutual of Omaha software here, and we're going to spend some time talking about the inflation options and how you can use them to get your clients to a price point where the very popular custom solution product is it's affordable for them, and that's really what the job comes down to. Just a couple of things that we are really working hard to stress going forward. The value. The conversation with your clients needs to be about the value of the product and the value that's in the product, not about the price. The simple truth of the matter is that in most cases there's a less expensive way to do things, but you may be taking away and you may be marginalizing the value of the product if you elect to go with the least expensive methodology. I mean, it is true there are Chevys on the road and there are Mercedes on the road. The reality is the value of Mutual's product puts it much closer to Mercedes land than it does to Chevrolet land, and we will talk about that a little bit more here as we move through. We're going to focus today on three things, and all of these things are going to help you deal with or enhance the problem-solving ability that's inherent in Mutual of Omaha's product. All right, so we're going to talk about the concept of PIC, P-I-C, with Mutual of Omaha today. We're going to talk about lower inflation points. We're going to talk about lower increments, and we are going to talk about capped options. And we're going to show you how you can use these things to get your clients to that price point where affordability lives. Okay. Now, if you haven't downloaded Mutual software, I would highly encourage you to do so. We'll get you the address for that later in the presentation. But the reason that you want to download it is because it's got some really, really outstanding tools built into it that you don't find with the side-by-side types of software, and you're not going to find it with other carriers' proprietary softwares either. And the primary one that helps us with today's presentation is right here in the center where it says PIC inflation. Now, for purposes of this conversation, we are talking about a 60-year-old husband and wife. We use Nebraska as a state. It's right in the middle of the country. They are age 60. They are select health risk. And we're looking at a $5,000 monthly benefit and a pool of $200,000. So as you can see, the base premium here is about $4,600. Okay, so now, first thing we're going to talk about here is take a quick look at partnership. And what you're going to see on this chart that I'm opening up here is for this 60-year-old couple, everything in the lifetime span and everything in the 20-year cap span is partnership approved. Okay, and these different options, they show you how much you're going to change the premium to, making these different moves along the way. And you'll also notice over here that if you go to age 61, and where I'm over here to the right, the entire roster of choices, including the 15-year capped option, is available. And at age 66, everything on the board becomes available and becomes partnership approved. Partnership is a little bit of a buzzword right now. There's some positives to it. We would recommend that you not get completely fixated on it because it is not going to turn out to be the end-all, be-all when push comes to shove. And when push comes to shove is going to be 20 or 25 years down the road. So now, the first thing we're going to talk about is the points. Okay, 1 point within the formula of the custom solution product is about a 26% difference in premium. All right. Now, moving your client from 3% to 2%, which we're going to do right now, as you can see, takes them from, they were at 46.16, go down to 2% compound, 37.98, 800 and some change dollars. Significant move when you look at it from a standpoint of a 20-year or 25-year period of time and the ability to save that kind of money. You're looking at $16,000, $18,000 saved. We have learned from a lot of conversations with agents who have conversations with their clients, we have learned that the clients are perfectly comfortable with an understanding that they have an inflation option that's not, quote unquote, conventional, okay, because they know they're going to save money along the way. A quick history lesson for you, which it's a great example of why we are certain this will work, okay? We, along with our business partner, Golden Care, we brought 3% compound inflation to the long-term care marketplace about 12 years ago. We introduced it with a product with a different carrier partner, all right? And at the time, people looked at us like we had three heads. Agents were never going to change their behavior. People weren't going to buy 3% compound. It wasn't going to work. Well, if you're selling long-term care right now, you know what you're selling, and what you're selling is 3% compound, okay? These other choices, 2%, 2.5%, and we'll look at some of these other things here in a minute when we talk about increments. These will work. They will work because they will save your clients money, and sooner rather than later, you're going to see that gravitating them towards a more affordable option is the best available opportunity. It's the best way to get them to that price point where affordability lives. And the nice part is you don't have to drop benefit, number one. Number two, they all come with the buy-up. The inflation protection buy-up is included with all of those choices. Your client can start at 2. They can buy their way up anytime in the first 20 years of the policy or until they reach the age of 75. Okay, this is the only product out there that has a guaranteed buy-up option available. Okay, again, huge way to lead your client to that price point where affordability lives. Even if you go down to 1%, and I talked to an agent a couple weeks ago that had just made a sale at 1%, making the client pinky swear that they were going to buy more inflation farther down the road, okay? 1% inflation option is going to increase benefits by 1/3 in 30 years, which means that that $200,000 number is going to be more like $275 farther down the road. It is a viable option, and we know it's a viable option because people are going to gravitate toward it once you put it in front of them, okay? So now we're going to move back up and look at and start having a little bit of a conversation with regard to increments, all right? Now we have increments available down to 1/4 point, and that was because when we saw the 26-point span between 3% and 2%, we knew we needed some more flexibility to help you move your clients to where they needed to be, okay? Now, a 1/4 point is about a 6.5% increase in premium, and it may not sound like much at the start, but when you look at it from the perspective of an average couple sale, which is right about $4,600 now, okay, that 6.5% savings is about $300 a year. That could be enough to get your clients to feel as though they are at the price point where affordability lives. So now we move from $46.16, we go down a 1/4 point, $43.94. That's, you know, a couple $100. It depends on, there's some other things that get into it, but typically you're going to be looking at about 6.5%, okay? If we took it down a total of a 1/2 point, all right, you're now down to $41.87. So that's almost $500 difference there. Multiply that out towards the 20 or 25-year lifetime of a policy. Significant change, significant opportunity, and again, it comes with the inflation buy-up choice. And again, partnership approved. The one other thing about this chart that's really cool is it tells you, look, you know, if you're at 2.5% for this 60-year-old male here, and that's, you know, that's not, they feel like they need to go down a little bit more. This tells you right away, if I move down to 2, I'm going to drop another $130 here, and maybe that's going to be enough to get it done. But they can see it, you can see it, you can talk to them right there about what the change is going to mean and what the price differential is for them, okay? And again, partnership eligible. Everything in the green is partnership eligible here, all right? Typically, when you're looking at, you know, that the $4,500 to $5,000 in the pool here, $170 to $200K, you're going to be looking at, you know, savings of somewhere between $350, $400. That's going to be enough to get them to kind of stop what they're doing, pay attention to what you've got to say, have a more substantive conversation. Again, stressing this does deal with the price issue, but while you're having a conversation, you're talking to them about the fact that this is a guaranteed inflation option. Okay, Mutual of Omaha and AIM in partnership, we are not going to get out into the game with inflation options that are not guaranteed numbers. Okay, so it's guaranteed A and B. You can buy it up with the buy up. Okay, so you have the opportunity to move to a different point in time somewhere down the road. Okay, significant opportunity. Okay, now we're going to take a look here at capped options. Most of you who sold with us with the gold product know that we did a lot with the 20-year inflation option. Again, trying to make more flexibility available, we also added 15 and 10-year options. And these choices all come with the guaranteed buy-up. So now, another way to do this with a 60-year-old client, rather than kicking them down, to 2.5%, is to keep them at 3, but put a 20-year cap on there. So now, 4616, you're dropping down below $4,000 a year combined premium. A significant movement on that, okay? And again, we know from having sold a ton of 5% with the 20-year cap, the clients are perfectly comfortable with this because they realize when they look at the numbers here that they just saved themselves, about $12,000 to $15,000 total over the 20 to 25-year typical lifespan of a policy, okay? And this is available on all of the custom inflation options, whether you're buying 5% or whether you're buying 1%, okay? It is available, and again, as we talked about before, the 20-year option is capped. That capped option is partnership approved all the way down to 1%, okay? Your client does have the partnership protection available to them when they execute with this combination of options. Significant competitive advantage, all right? Okay, caps typically you're looking at around, with base you're looking at about $4,500 to $4,600 as the typical couple sale. You go down to a 15-year capped on that. It's not partnership approved at 60, we know, but you've saved your clients more than $1,200. Okay, again, significant numbers. They're a little bit older. Again, as you saw in the chart at 61, you get into the 15-year grouping right there. So it isn't partnership approved, but as I said before, the partnership doesn't have to be, it isn't really the total answer for reasons that are the topic of another conversation at a different time. Okay, but this will get the job done for you. All right. Now, we talked about the software before. A couple of other very, very slick things that Mutual software does, okay, or that they have available, is PickMax is one of them. You click on PickMax, and as you move the little blue target around, the client says, okay, I think 5,000 is probably too much based on where we're at price-wise. Let's look at 4,500. They want to go that way, all right? So now you've gone from 4,600, you get them down to 4,425, a couple $100. Okay, this is just one more method that you can get them to that price point where affordability lives, but this is an easier way to do it than to have to constantly go into the pull down and change the pull down for the different monthly amounts. Okay, and again, you immediately are shown what the cash benefit is, what the max monthly benefit is, the number of years that they both would last, and then the premium for the particular individual that you were looking at, because the PickMax has to be run independently for the two spouses. Okay, the other one that's really sort of the crown jewel of this whole thing is our target premium feature. You click on target premium, all right, and your clients have told you, look, 4425 is not going to work in this particular situation. We need to be closer to $4,000 annual premium. You tell it okay, all right, you come back out, and what you'll notice is the monthly benefit was now dropped down. So at $39.83, it got you a little bit under $4,000. All right, at $39.83, you're going to be looking at a monthly benefit of $34.50 per person. And what this really helps emphasize is that there are better ways to do this than cutting the benefit, all right? Because as you saw, the original monthly benefit was significantly higher than this, all right? So now we go back out here, we turn that off, and we take them back up to where they were before, okay, $46.16. Now they tell us they got to get down to around $4,000. Well, we know that there are better ways to go about doing this than cutting benefit, so we look at the 15-year option. We're not going to worry about partnership for the time being. That's probably a little more than they want to bite off. But the 20-year option is at $39.31. Okay, I think it's a much better way to go to not cut that benefit down to get them to this, to where they want to be by using those capped options. But as you can see, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of scenarios here that you can put into play. And I would recommend strongly, I'll give you the website here real quick, grab a pencil, write it down if you don't have our software. Okay, the website for the software is www.wyaim.com/software. Okay, and you want to download the MutualCare custom solution. There are 3 different software options. The only one that's going to be viable for you is the MutualCare custom solution in most states. That's the one you want to download. That's the one that you want to get as familiar as possible with this. Once again, www.wyaim.com/software. And one really cool new thing that we added to the software, right up here in the upper right-hand corner, there's a button there that says software is current. As soon as you open it up, if you have web access, it's going to reach out and determine whether there's a newer version of the software that you could or should download. And if it, you'll either see software is current or software upload or download available, software update available. Take a minute and go ahead and get the newer version just to stay current along the way. One other piece that we're going to talk about here for a minute, it's not directly tied to inflation, but it is truthfully the single biggest competitive advantage you have with Mutual's product is right here in nice big tan letters in the center, the cash benefit. It is 40% of your max monthly benefit, all right? That is cash. It is day one without an elimination period, and there are no restrictions. There's no muss, no fuss, no paperwork, nothing. Simple truth of the matter is if you are selling long-term care to your clients without cash, you are doing them a disservice, okay? Cash gives them the control and the choice that the claim studies are showing us they want, and it gives it to them. You know, it's a little bit less in the way of utilization, and that's what makes it workable for the carrier, because you're not going to, nobody wants to be in a situation with 100% cash. It doesn't seem to work, and that's why you saw one of the carriers recently get out that had a 100% cash policy, difficult to maintain and to have it be affordable, all right? But 40% cash, again, as soon as they're benefit eligible, they start getting paid. They could stay on cash as long as they want. In theory, they could use cash for the entirety of their claim. That decision is totally made by them. It gives them the choice and the control that we know that they want at claims time. The combination of these two things are competitive advantages no other carrier can match. You take those two things, you add them to Mutual of Omaha's unparalleled brand recognition, and you have the strongest combination of carrier and product available in the marketplace. And the nice point is, or the nice thing is, you could tell the entire story as you've seen here, and you never have to get away from the software page. This gives you everything that you need to know, and everybody knows Mutual of Omaha. I just read a thing that relatively recently in the fall, Mutual of Omaha had the 50th anniversary of the Wild Kingdom television show, and it being brought to television. It was in the fall of 1963. That is the biggest reason that Mutual of Omaha has the brand recognition that it does. That show is still around, and that's why all of the boomers know, they know who Mutual of Omaha is. So I'm going to take a minute here and switch everybody over so that we can start taking some questions. So give me a minute to unmute everybody. If you've got background noise going on, you got a tea kettle or something like that, please be kind to the other folks on the call and hit *6 to individually mute yourself so that we don't have dogs barking, parakeets chirping, spoons and coffee cups, or whatever. So let's back here. Got everybody unmuted. Go ahead and let's take some questions about points, increments, and caps, or the software, or the cash. Any of those topics that we've covered here today, let's talk about it a little bit. So, all right, any questions? Radke, you're out there, right?
Yes, I am. I have a question on how much is the buyout or the buy-up cost?
The buy-up cost is an incremental premium. It has to be calculated individually, but it only has to do with the difference, let's say hypothetically, between the 3% and the 3.5% that they want to buy up to, only at attained age. So it's not a big change in premium from what we've seen. I actually have the formula if somebody really wants it, but you know, it's kind of fruitless to try to have a specific discussion with people at the time that you're doing the policy, because they're not going to make that decision until 5 years down the road. Okay, you can calculate it for them. You know, they're buying at 61. You can calculate it at 66 and tell them, okay, this is what it's going to look like. But it also depends on which option they choose. But the times that we've helped agents utilize it, what we've seen is that it's a very, very reasonable incremental move. So, anything else you saw, Hugh, on points or increments? You feel like you could make this work with your clients?
Most definitely. I mean, this is slick.
There you go. It's a great, you know, I mean, there's a difference between a great story and a compelling story. This is compelling. And the reason it's compelling is that if you're going to be able to save somebody $800-900 a year for their long-term care premium, that's going to have them leaning in. And the fact that you can do it without cutting down the starting monthly benefit, also significant. And again, combine that with cash and the Mutual of Omaha story, single best combination of product and carrier, brand and reputation on the marketplace. So, other questions out there? I know other of you have thoughts about this.
Hey, Mike, this is Sean Jensen.
Hey, Sean, how are you?
Good morning, I'm fine.
Good.
So, some other companies offer on the inflation protection a future purchase option, or FPO. Right. So, as I understand this, in effect, the inflation buy-up option is like a future purchase option as a way of increasing your inflation protection percentage. So, if the client chooses no inflation protection, is there still the buy-up option included?
No. Nobody was exercising it. Mutual went away from it. Okay. The solution there is to put them at 1%. See, here's the flaw with the broad usage of guaranteed purchase or future purchase option. You typically lose it after you have not exercised it twice. All right. So either in 4 or 6 years, and historically it's the reason that the carriers can do this, because remember, there's no evidence of insurability necessary. So you're letting somebody who's 60 buy 10% more benefit at 62 and another 10% more at 64, et cetera. All right. The reason they can do that is because nobody exercises it. All right. The broader market out there, you get an option after 2 or 3 years once. If you pass, then you get a second opportunity. If you pass, then it's gone. Okay. Now, Mutual's guaranteed buy-up, that exists for 20 years or until you reach the age of 75. Your client reaches the age of 75. So there's a little bit of similarity, but it's not a total amount of similarity.
And you only can exercise it once?
Oh, no. You can exercise as many times as you want. And the nice part is that, the only thing you've got to remember is you got 20 years to do it. You're not getting a series of reminders, and, you'll get reminded. Whoa. Okay. That's why I made the note about cell phones bringing this background, but apparently we got... Okay, I think I got it. All right. Anyway.
What can you buy up to? If you start out at 2, let's say, can you go to 5? Or
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can buy up. You can make any move you want, your client wants to make within that 20-year window or until they reach the age of 75. Anywhere in there, they can move from 2 to 2.5 or 2 to 4, whatever they want to do, they can do. Okay? Unprecedented, unparalleled level of flexibility with that.
And does that mean if you increase the inflation rate that it goes back to day 1, or is it from the time you buy or exercise the rider?
Point forward.
Going forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it went back to day 1, then the premium would have to revert back to day 1 as well.
Right.
So that would not seem to work.
Well, some people will ask that question.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's good to cover it and to be clear on it. So, all right. Any other questions out there? Okay. Well, if we don't have any other questions, going to go ahead and wrap up. Again, anything you got going on out there that you want to talk through, give one of us a call here at AIM, 800-672-7202. Let's talk it through. You got somebody, a case that you're getting ready, you're getting prepped to go see somebody on. Give us a ring, and we'll get you positioned where you feel comfortable having that conversation. So, all right, one more time. Any questions? We're going to go ahead and call it a day here at 9:30 this morning. All right. Well, I'm going to take that as a no. We appreciate your time, everybody. We will look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye now.